r/ask Reddit. What is a myth that you wish people would stop repeating? That Obama doesn't know what he is doing. He knows exactly what he's doing. Barack Obama is undertaking a systematic effort to change this country, to make America more like the rest of the world. I read it in his voice too. That veterans are heroes. Some truly are, but as a veteran, I can tell you some of the shittiest people I've ever met were in the army. My wife and I were just talking about this last night. Her dad was in the Navy during Vietnam. He doesn't like to talk about it in any way, and he is visibly uncomfortable when people acknowledge his service on Veterans Day. I think the reason is because he is thoroughly aware that he went into the Navy to dodge the draft and keep from becoming infantry. Instead, he went to a safe position in Guantanamo. Yep, in my personal experience, good veterans don't like being thanked for their service. Bad veterans feed off of it. As an employee at a pet store, that fish other animals will only grow to the size of their enclosure. No, they keep growing and then they get sick or die because your cheap ass won't get them a proper habitat. Ringo was not a good drummer. False. Ringo wasn't a flashy drummer. He was in fact a human metronome and kept almost perfect time. Anyone who has ever played in a band will tell you 10 times out of 10 that is vastly more important than a flashy drummer. Usually someone will immediately post Ringo isn't even the best drummer in the Beatles. John Lennon. John said nothing of the sort. Neither did Paul. It was said by a comedian 3 years after John was killed and has been misattributed for years. People forget Ringo was the only Beatle to be successful before joining the group. He was playing in one of the most popular pop acts in Britain at the time. George Martin always said they were incredibly lucky to get him. He's also the only one to get a decent job after music. I can never decide between humans only use 10% of their brains and scientists thought bees couldn't fly. What is that second one? I've never heard that before. The idea is that if you crunch the numbers in a really simplistic aerodynamic model, you come to the conclusion that bumblebees shouldn't be able to generate enough lift with their tiny wings and huge bodies. All this really demonstrates is that aerodynamic models need to account for things like flexing and the complex motions of insect wings. That Marilyn Monroe was the equivalent of today's size 12, or 14 or 16 or whatever random dress size people throw out. This woman was 5 feet 5 inches and 118 pounds when she started modeling. A size 12 in the mid 1940s was definitely not a size 12 at Loft or Chico's or whatever. She gained some weight and lost some weight periodically throughout her career, but she was at most a contemporary size 4 or 6. That people today could even think that she was plus size shows just how screwed up perceptions of women's bodies are. This woman was on the thin side of a healthy BMI, and we're going to say that she was full-figured or big? No. She was downright skinny with hips and a big bust. Even during her time her figure was considered unsuited to fashion modeling. And today most fashion models today are at least 5 minutes and 10 seconds and 115 pounds or less. The screwy, crazy relationship women have to their weight should not be fixed by replacing one ideal body with another. Idolizing different kinds of bodies does nothing because it ignores the underlying problem of focusing so much attention on what constitutes an ideal aesthetic weight. This is not fat people hurt stuff. Young women should understand that looking like any model or actress, plus sized or no, is a bad start for hitching your wagon. That vaccines cause autism. All Democrats are liberal socialists and all Republicans are racist fascists. That Texas is the only state allowed to fly its flag at the same height as the US. Flag? No. Texas might be the only state arrogant enough to do it, but no one's going to flag jail if they choose to do so. I live in Texas. Most places keep the Texas flag lower than the American flag. I've only seen them at the same height once or twice. I live in Texas too, and I agree that I rarely see it happen, but I hear people say it all the time. As of the 28th of September 11:30 AM Eastern Standard Time, I do not give Facebook or any entities associated with Facebook permission to use my pictures, information, or posts, both past and future. By this statement, I give notice to Facebook it is strictly forbidden to disclose, copy, distribute, or take any other action against me based on this profile and or its contents. The content of this profile is private and confidential information. The violation of privacy can be punished by law. UCC 1308 11308 103 and the Rome Statute. Note: Facebook is now a public entity. All members must post a note like this. If you prefer, you can copy and paste this version. If you do not publish a statement at least once, it will be tactically allowing the use of your photos, as well as the information contained in the profile status updates. Do not share. You must copy and paste. I like the use of tactically as opposed to tacitly. Shaving will make your hair grow faster and come in thicker. Because if that were true, we'd be manscaping with machetes at this point. That's usually something parents tell their kids to get them to shave off wispy pubescent facial hair until they're grown enough to fill it out. That the Apollo moon landings were faked. I think the Russians would have called BS on Apollo if they didn't actually go. You know, they would have been watching and listening like a hawk. On the other hand, assuming the Russians didn't detect a moon landing, it's possible they would stay quiet on the fear that a moon landing did happen and they'd be admitting the limitations of their tracking capability. They would have a very hard time proving it necessarily didn't happen. They could only say, well, I didn't see anything. Food trends in general. Detox diets make me so angry. This will be a bit adult in nature, but the question asked for myths. The idea that the shape of a woman's vulva, specifically the amount of labia minora showing, indicates how many sexual partners she's had, or how tight or loose she may be. The idea is prevalent among young men, and it's damaging to young women's psyches when they already have to deal with a murder scene coming from their 7 days a month, along with plenty of other shit to deal with that comes with being a woman. Deoxygenated blood is blue inside your body. No, it is not. Blood is red. This month has 5 Fridays, 5 Saturdays, and 5 Sundays. This is called Moneybags and happens only once every 835 years. There are only 14 possible calendars for a given year. All you need to know in order to determine which one to use is what day of the week is Jan 1 on and whether or not it is a leap year. We cycle through all 14 with regular consistency. This reminds me of a time last year when the post, "This year Halloween will fall on Friday the 13th" or whatever it was appeared and everyone shared it. Facepum. That police have to reveal themselves if someone asks if they are police. Ducking badger. Natural organic is always better for you. No, it's not. Arsenic is natural. You don't know about the new artisan arsenic and arugula salad at Whole Foods? You haven't lived. That nuclear power is dangerous. It kills fewer people per unit of energy produced and has very low environmental impact, even compared to wind and solar. Nuclear power kills less people per MWH, is cheaper per MWH, uses less space and, other than wind, is associated with less CO2 emissions, and a power station lasts a lot longer than a wind turbine's 15 years. The dolphins are the only animals to have sex for fun. Oh, and that being cold gives you a cold. I hate that. They also kill for fun. Humans are the only animals to do both at the same time for fun. No, so much a myth, but those bloody Facebook statuses that warn you you'll start being charged for your account. The same idiots who post those lifetime McDonald's voucher things that are clearly phishing and other scam sites. Tomorrow is the 564,293th day that Facebook has been active. Zuckerberg said that he would share his entire wealth with everyone who shares this picture. I don't know if it's true, but better safe than sorry. A lot of Korean people believe if you leave a fan on in a closed room you'll get hypothermia, or suffocate, and die. Most electric fans sold there actually come with a timer so you can't turn them on and leave them on. Detoxing is the only way to achieve ultimate health. Suck a dong if you think this. Your liver and kidneys' sole responsibilities involve detoxifying your body. Starving yourself of everything but wheatgrass and green tea will not magically make you the picture of health. It's all a fantasy devised by magazine columnists to fill their pages every week with the latest detox fad. As long as you look after your body and feed it what it needs, there is no need to detox. That thousands of years ago, people only lived to be 35 years old. That one's kinda understandable, given that it's mostly taught as the average age was X, and they don't include the somewhat vital detail of the number of deaths at a very young age, which inevitably brings the average down. GMOs are bad for you. If they were, we wouldn't be living as long as we are, and global food supply would be much less than it is now. You look at the stars. Starvation mode. It's not that this doesn't exist, just that people have changed its meaning, in a self-serving way, so that it's now wildly inaccurate. Starvation mode is not if I don't eat enough my body will go into starvation mode, hold all of the calories, and make me gain weight. Therefore, I must eat more, and more, lest I starve. Or the myth that if you starve yourself of calories, it will burn muscle and not fat. The first problem is not understanding what starvation actually is, which is consuming less than 50% of your body's caloric needs over an extended period of time. Not my body wants 2,800 calories today and I only ate 2,000. I'm going into starvation mode. More like, your TDEE is 1,200 and you're eating less than 600 every day for weeks. Also, losing muscle rather than fat when eating a caloric deficit isn't true either. Your body will naturally burn fat as fuel so long as it's there. More conspiracy theory than myth, but that the fluoride in the water supply makes us easier to control. Yep, people are angrier and harder to keep controlled when their teeth are falling out. Being out in cold weather will make you sick. A little girl who I teach, her mother is very insistent in this. She says very frequently that we are not putting enough clothing on her at the end of the day, and her bus is too cold, our school's buses are heated, and she will get sick. It's to the point that we worry more about her overheating than anything else. Snowpants, sweater, coat, hat, scarf, mittens, every day. Recently she has been sick and has missed a lot of school. The day she returned, her mother called to insist that we do not take her outside, or she will get sick again. It has been a very, very warm winter in my city, and this was a particularly balmy day. Like, many kids were taking their coats off because running around was making them sweaty. Later in the day, this little girl became sick with what was clearly a stomach bug. Her previous illness had been respiratory, certainly unrelated to diarrhea. When I called mom to let her know, she said it's probably because she goes outside at school. Well, no, just no. And besides the fact that cold weather doesn't give you diarrhea, and lots of kids just get sick a lot, maybe it's her shitty, unvaried, fruit and veggie devoid diet that has tanked her immune system. You eat 10 spiders a year in your sleep. I fell for that too. Some people spread that rumor to prove how easily misinformation can spread throughout the populace. That milk is good food for cats. Stop feeding milk to your cat for God's sake. Eskimos do not have 500 different words for snow. They do have a lot, though. It's because their language is very agglutinating, making it fits a bunch of meaning-carrying parts into a given word. Agglutinating language. Wood gray snow. Isolating language. Wet, gray snow. Whoa, you made it to the end? You're a ducking beast. I'll cut you a deal. Smash like and subscribe for more curated content, bruh. It's free and that's a great price.